My son wanted power of attorney, so I left it to a stranger instead. I never thought I'd be the kind of mother who would choose a complete stranger over her own son. But here I am, 73 years old, sitting in my lawyer's office, signing papers that give power of attorney to someone I've known for exactly 6 months. Her name is Rebecca Martinez, and she's my physical therapist. My son David, he's been calling me nonstop for 3 days, and I haven't answered once. You're probably thinking I've lost my mind. Maybe I have, but let me tell you how I got here. Because this story isn't what you think it is. It's about betrayal, about greed, and about the moment I realized that the child I raised, the boy I sacrificed everything for, had been planning to steal my life right out from under me. It started 6 months ago when I fell in my kitchen. Nothing dramatic, just a slip on some spilled coffee that left me with a broken hip and a reality check I wasn't ready for. David flew in from Phoenix within hours, and I remember feeling so grateful, so loved. He took 2 weeks off work, helped me get settled, interviewed home health aides. He was the perfect son, attentive and caring. I should have known something was wrong. The first red flag came when he insisted on handling all my bills while I recovered. "Mom, you need to focus on healing," he said, taking my checkbook and all my financial statements. "Let me worry about the boring stuff." I thought it was sweet. I thought he was being protective. I had no idea he was already calculating how much my house was worth, how much I had in savings, how much he could get his hands on. Rebecca came into my life through the hospital's physical therapy program. She was this energetic woman in her 40s with calloused hands and the biggest smile I'd ever seen. She didn't treat me like I was fragile or helpless. She pushed me, challenged me, made me laugh when I wanted to cry from the pain. During our sessions, we talked about everything: her kids, her divorce, her dreams of opening her own practice someday. I told her about my late husband, about David, about how proud I was that he'd become a successful engineer. "He sounds wonderful," she said one day as she helped me work through my exercises. "You're lucky to have such a devoted son." I beamed with pride. He's been taking care of everything while I recover. I don't know what I'd do without him. But Rebecca's expression shifted slightly. "Just make sure you're keeping track of things too, Mrs. Patterson. It's important to stay involved in your own affairs, even when you're healing." I brushed off her concern. David was my son. He loved me. He would never take advantage of me. The second red flag came when I started feeling better and asked for my checkbook back. David got this look on his face, this flash of something I'd never seen before: annoyance, anger. "Mom, you're still recovering. Why don't you let me handle things a little longer? Besides, I've got everything organized now. It would just be confusing to switch back." Something cold settled in my stomach, but I pushed it away. This was David. My David. It was Rebecca who finally opened my eyes. We were working on my balance exercises when she mentioned casually, "Mrs. Patterson, have you thought about setting up power of attorney? Not because you need it now, but it's good to have in place for the future." My mom did it, and it gave her such peace of mind knowing she'd chosen someone she trusted completely. "Oh, David's been talking to me about that," I said. "He thinks it's a good idea too." Rebecca nodded. But then she asked the question that changed everything. "Have you talked to a lawyer independently? I mean, without David there?" I paused mid-exercise. "Why would I need to do that?" "Just to make sure you understand all your options. Power of attorney is a big deal. You want to be absolutely certain you're making the right choice for the right reasons." That night, I lay awake thinking about Rebecca's words. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Patricia Santos, who'd handled my husband's estate. I made an appointment for the following week, and I didn't tell David. The appointment was supposed to be routine. Patricia was going to explain the different types of power of attorney, help me understand what I was agreeing to. But when I mentioned that David had been handling my finances, her expression grew concerned. "Helen, when did you last look at your bank statements?" "David's been taking care of all that. He shows me the important stuff. I think you should ask to see everything today." The drive home felt endless. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid, that Patricia was just being overly cautious. But when I walked into my house and asked David to show me all my financial statements, his reaction told me everything I needed to know. "Mom, we've been through this. You don't need to worry about this stuff." "David, I want to see my statements now." He got that look again, but this time I recognized it. It was the same look he'd given me when he was 12, and I'd caught him stealing money from my purse. Guilty, cornered, angry at being caught. "Fine," he said, but his voice was tight. "I'll get them." He disappeared into the spare room he'd been using as an office, and I heard him rustling through papers, muttering under his breath. When he came back, he had a stack of statements, but something felt wrong. The way he held them, the way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. I spread them out on the kitchen table, and my world collapsed. $23,000. Gone. Just gone. Transferred to an account I'd never seen before. In increments small enough that I might not notice if I wasn't looking carefully. But I was looking now, and I could see the pattern. 1,000 here, 1,500 there, all while he was supposedly taking care of everything. "David." My voice came out as a whisper. "What is this?" He started talking fast, excuses tumbling over each other. It was a loan. He was going to pay it back. He'd had some unexpected expenses. His business was going through a rough patch. The words washed over me, but all I could think was, "My son is a thief. My son has been stealing from me." "How long?" I asked. "Mom, let me explain." "How long, David?" His shoulders sagged. 2 years, maybe 3 years. While I'd been bragging to my friends about my successful son, he'd been systematically stealing from me. While I'd been so proud of his business achievements, he'd been funding them with my money. While I'd been trusting him completely, he'd been betraying me in the most fundamental way possible. The worst part wasn't the money, though that stung. The worst part was realizing that every concerned phone call, every visit, every "I love you, Mom," had been calculated. He hadn't been taking care of me. He'd been managing his investment. "You need to leave," I said, quietly. "Mom, please, let me now, David. I want you out of my house now." He tried to argue, tried to explain, tried to make me understand that he'd been planning to pay it all back, but I was done listening. I sat at that kitchen table surrounded by evidence of his betrayal, and I watched my only child pack his bags and walk out of my life. That's when I called Rebecca. I don't know why I called her instead of Patricia, instead of the police, instead of anyone else. Maybe because she was the only person who'd shown genuine concern for my well-being without having an agenda. Maybe because she'd tried to warn me. Maybe because I just needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy. She came over immediately. She sat with me while I cried, while I raged, while I tried to make sense of how the person I loved most in the world had been using me. She didn't offer empty platitudes or try to excuse David's behavior. She just listened. "What are you going to do?" she asked finally. "I don't know. I feel so stupid, Rebecca. How did I not see it? You trusted someone you loved. That's not stupid. That's human." Over the next few weeks, Rebecca helped me in ways that went far beyond physical therapy. She drove me to the bank, sat with me while I opened new accounts, helped me understand what legal options I had. She never asked for anything in return, never made me feel like a burden. She just showed up, day after day, helping me rebuild my life. And that's when I realized something. Rebecca had been more of a daughter to me in 6 months than David had been a son in years. Not because of what she did, but because of why she did it. She cared about me as a person, not as a source of income. She wanted me to be strong and independent, not dependent and manageable. When Patricia called to schedule our follow-up appointment about the power of attorney, I knew what I had to do. "Helen, are you sure about this?" Patricia asked as she reviewed the documents. "Rebecca Martinez is essentially a stranger." "No," I said firmly. "She's the person who's earned my trust. David is the stranger. I don't know who that man is, but he's not the son I thought I raised." The papers were signed 3 weeks ago. Rebecca accepted the responsibility reluctantly. Only after I convinced her that I wasn't acting out of spite or hurt, but out of careful consideration. She's agreed to help me find and interview potential backup candidates, people who can take over if something happens to her. She's even suggested we involve a financial advisor to create additional oversight and protection. This is where you come in. If you're watching this and you're taking care of an elderly parent, or if you're worried about a situation in your own family, please pay attention. Love doesn't mean blind trust. Caring doesn't mean giving up control. And sometimes, the people who claim to have your best interests at heart are the ones you need to watch most carefully. I want you to leave a comment and tell me, have you ever had to make a choice between family loyalty and self-protection? Because I'm still struggling with this every day. Part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh, if I should give David another chance, but then I remembered the look in his eyes when he got caught. and I know I made the right choice. David has been calling, texting, even showing up at my door. He's apologetic now, full of promises to make things right. He's even offered to pay back the money, though I notice he hasn't actually done it yet. His wife has called too, crying, begging me to forgive him. She claims she didn't know what he was doing, and maybe that's true. Maybe she's another one of his victims. But here's what I've learned. Trust, once broken, doesn't just magically repair itself because someone says they're sorry. Actions have consequences, and those consequences don't disappear because the person who caused them is family. Rebecca and I have developed a routine now. She comes by twice a week, ostensibly for my continued physical therapy, but really we've become friends. We cook together, watch old movies, talk about books. She's introduced me to her kids, and I've become something like a grandmother to them. It's not the family I planned, but it's the family I chose. And there's something powerful about that. Last week, something interesting happened. I got a call from David's business partner, someone I'd met a few times over the years. He wanted to meet for coffee, said he had something important to tell me. Against Rebecca's advice, I agreed, but he told me changed everything I thought I knew about my son's financial situation. David's business wasn't struggling, it was thriving. He'd been stealing from me, not out of desperation, but out of greed. He'd been using my money to fund investments, to buy rental properties, to build wealth while telling me he was barely getting by. Mrs. Patterson, his partner, said, David's worth at least $2 million, maybe more. He didn't need your money, he just wanted it. I sat in that coffee shop, stirring my coffee with a shaking hand, and realized that my betrayal was even deeper than I'd known. David hadn't just stolen from me. He'd lied about why he was stealing. He'd made me complicit in my own exploitation by making me feel sorry for him. That night, I called the police. Filing charges against your own child is something no parent should ever have to do. But as I sat in that detective's office, giving my statement, I kept thinking about other elderly people who might be going through the same thing. How many other parents are being manipulated by their own children? How many other people are choosing loyalty over safety because they can't bear to believe their family would hurt them? The legal process is ongoing. David's been charged with elder abuse and theft. His lawyer is pushing for a plea deal, hoping to avoid jail time. Part of me hopes he takes it, not because I want to protect him, but because I don't want to sit in a courtroom and listen to him try to justify what he did. Rebecca has been my rock through all of this. She's never once said, I told you so, even though she had concerns from the beginning. She's never made me feel foolish for trusting David, never made me feel weak for being hurt by his betrayal. She's just been there, steady and reliable, showing me what genuine care looks like. But here's the twist I didn't see coming. 3 days ago, I got a call from a lawyer I'd never heard of. He said he represented someone who wanted to remain anonymous, someone who'd been following my case through the local news coverage. This person wanted to pay David's legal fees and help him get back on his feet after his difficult time. The lawyer wouldn't tell me who his client was, but he did say something that chilled me to the bone. My client believes that family forgiveness is more important than legal consequences. They hope you'll consider dropping the charges and working toward reconciliation. I declined, of course. But it got me thinking, who else has David been manipulating? Who else has he convinced that he's a victim of circumstances rather than a perpetrator of crimes? How many other people is he using while he's supposedly learning his lesson? I've been doing some digging, and what I've found terrifies me. David has been borrowing money from friends, from his wife's family, from business associates. He's been telling them all different stories about why he needs help. But the pattern is always the same. He's the victim. Circumstances are beyond his control. He just needs a little help to get back on his feet. The anonymous benefactor paying his legal fees, I think it might be his wife's father, a wealthy man who adores David and believes everything he says. David has been playing the role of devoted son-in-law just like he played the role of devoted son. And now he's got another source of money to manipulate. This is why I made the right choice with Rebecca. She's not just handling my power of attorney. She's helping me protect myself from someone who would apparently stop at nothing to get what he wants. Someone who sees relationships as transactions and love as leverage. If you're still with me, if you've watched thus far, I need you to understand something. This isn't just about money. This isn't just about one greedy son and one betrayed mother. This is about a pattern of behavior that destroys families and ruins lives. Elder abuse is epidemic in this country, and most of it is committed by family members who convince themselves they're entitled to their parents' money. I want you to share this video. I want you to talk to the elderly people in your life. I want you to pay attention to the warning signs. And if you're someone who's been taking advantage of an elderly family member, I want you to know that your actions have consequences, and those consequences are coming. But here's what I really want you to take away from this story. It's never too late to choose yourself. It's never too late to set boundaries. It's never too late to surround yourself with people who genuinely care about your well-being rather than your bank account. Rebecca didn't ask to become my power of attorney. She didn't ask to become my friend. She didn't ask to become the daughter I never had. But she stepped up when I needed someone, and she's shown me what real love looks like. It's not possessive or manipulative or conditional. It's steady and supportive and honest. David, if you're watching this, and I suspect you are, I want you to know that I still love you. You're still my son, and nothing can change that. But love doesn't mean I have to let you destroy me. Love doesn't mean I have to enable your behavior, and love definitely doesn't mean I have to give you control over my life so you can systematically dismantle it for your own benefit. I'm 73 years old, and I'm finally learning to love myself enough to protect myself. I'm learning that family isn't just about blood, it's about choice. It's about who shows up when you need them, who tells you the truth even when it's hard to hear, who wants you to be strong rather than dependent. Rebecca Martinez is handling my power of attorney not because she's perfect, but because she's proven herself trustworthy in small things before I gave her responsibility for big things. She's earned my trust through her actions, not her words. She's shown me respect, not just demanded it. And here's the final twist that I'm still processing. Yesterday, Rebecca told me she's been offered a job in another state, a good job, one that would advance her career significantly. She's torn because she doesn't want to leave me, doesn't want to abandon the responsibility I've given her. This is the difference between Rebecca and David. Rebecca sees taking care of me as a responsibility that might require sacrifice. David saw taking care of me as an opportunity for profit. I told Rebecca to take the job. We'll figure out the power of attorney situation. Maybe transfer it to the financial advisor we've been working with. Maybe find another trustworthy person. But I'm not going to hold her back from her dreams the way David tried to hold me back from my independence. That's real love. That's real family. That's the kind of relationship I want to have with the people in my life going forward. So here's my challenge to you. Look at your relationships. Look at your family dynamics. Are you surrounded by people who want you to succeed, or people who benefit from your dependence? Are you giving trust where it's been earned, or where it's been demanded? Are you protecting yourself, or are you sacrificing your well-being for the sake of keeping peace? The hardest lesson I've learned in my 70 years is that sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones who hurt you the deepest. But the most beautiful lesson I've learned is that sometimes strangers become family, and sometimes choosing yourself is the most loving thing you can do. Leave me a comment. Tell me your story. Let's support each other through these difficult decisions, and remember, it's never too late to choose the life you deserve, even if it means disappointing the people who were counting on you to choose them instead. Thank you for listening, thank you for caring, and thank you for reminding, for me, that I'm not alone in this crazy, complicated, beautiful mess we call life.